Today's story comes from the BestofRedditorUpdates subreddit and was posted by Cake and Stuff and was titled Me, 20 female, with my boyfriend, 20 male, have been dating long distance and now he wants a break. My boyfriend and I met our freshman year of college and have been dating for 2 years now. We've always been an insanely close, best friend type couple and never seemed to have a single problem. He's a computer scientist and has been spending his summers interning in California. I'm in New York, so the complete opposite coast. It wasn't a big deal the first summer, but this past summer, I ended up having some issues with his communication. He never seemed to have time to talk on the phone or Skype and is a notoriously bad texter. And it became an issue with me, one that seemed it would only be resolved once we returned to campus. Well, because he did so well at his internship, he was offered a year-long position out there, which he accepted right away. He's admitted to me that he didn't take our relationship into consideration because he didn't want it to affect his decision, which I understand. We've seen each other twice since then, the first at the beginning of August, and the last time I flew out there about a month ago. The deal was that he had to call or Skype me once a week, which for the most part he stuck to. Everything seemed to be going surprisingly well considering. Well, 2 weeks ago, the communication suddenly started tapering off, and I was getting big flashbacks to the summertime and started getting kind of scared and annoyed. This kind of peaked when after days of trying to get him to call or Skype me, he tells me that he can't because he sat down to start watching V for Vendetta, to which I totally blew up at him. We started talking about communication, and he stated that he doesn't like talking on the phone or Skyping because he always gets distracted and starts doing other things while we're talking. He also apparently gets too distracted to properly respond to texts and thinks Facebook messages would be a better way to talk. However, that kind of fell off the discussion table when he revealed that apparently he's having this big, huge problem with being apart from me. He's the kind of guy who has always had a girlfriend and hasn't spent much time being single. Also, when he was here, we would spend practically every night together, and when he wasn't with me, he always had a roommate, even over the summers. Currently, he lives with 6 other people, but he has his own room, and apparently sleeping alone every night is giving him anxiety. In his own words, he had apparently been weighing his need to have someone to sleep next to against his desire to be with me, but later stated that he doesn't actually want anyone else. In his words, I don't want some shitty half Jane pretending to be my Jane. Just the fact that I can't be there is giving him pain. I suggested that maybe I record the sound of myself sleeping for him to listen to, but he rejected it, saying it was a dirty trick. So it came to this. Over this past weekend, I told him to think about whether he still wanted to be with me or if he would rather break up, because I wasn't going to make that call. He thought about it overnight, and at first returned with the verdict that he wanted to be with me. When I asked him why this over that, he said he didn't have a reason and just went with his gut feeling, which left me feeling not really reassured, which I told him. Then he announced he wanted to take a break for a week. He said it was so that he can realize all the things he takes for granted and better appreciate me. I asked him point blank if he'd met someone, which he denied and said that wasn't what this was about. I also told him that if he should, the decent thing to do would be to break it off with me, which he agreed. So we started our break yesterday. I'm not dumb. I know that right after we hung up, he and his housemate were throwing a huge party, so I don't think it's a coincidence that he brings this up right before then. I tried talking to my sisters and friends, but they were all overwhelmingly negative about both my boyfriend. This is new, as they've all really liked him until now, and the situation and how this is all basically a ruse so he can still keep me around while searching for a new girlfriend guilt-free. And that's kind of what I believe as well. However, I also believe this might be because I was stifling him before with my need for him to keep in touch. However, if it is, why didn't he just tell me that? Also, if he was using this as an excuse to meet girls, why did he insist on just a week? I know long-term couples like us need break from each other, but we're long distance. There is a huge amount of physical space between us already, and we only talk once a week. I know he and I are young, and maybe I should just forget about him, but I feel like if I can salvage the relationship, I should at least try. Update 2 days later. So he just messaged me an hour ago over Facebook telling me he misses me like crazy and that he had already bought plane tickets to come surprise me this weekend, but wanted to tell me beforehand in case I'd made any plans. I have absolutely no idea how to feel about this. Of course, I'm happy to see him and that he missed me, but it feels surreal. Over the past few days, I've been seriously considering splitting from him because I wasn't sure I could take it just being on break, not knowing if he was pursuing other women or if he'd already met someone. I figure it would take him months to come back to me if he did at all, but only 2 days? Is this a good sign, or should we still take a break from each other? Because I'm sure the problems he had before aren't just magically gone. Too many feelings over the past few days for me. Update 4 days later. So he flew in yesterday morning, and we were sitting around for about an hour, and I could tell right off that he was being very hesitant with me. So I asked him if there was a girl involved, and he said yes. I told him to give me the entire story, and this is what happened according to him. After I first started arguing with him last Thursday, he proceeded to get drunk and started flirting with his female roommate. He lives with 6 other people, and she's the only not gay female in the house. He claims that when he asked for a break on Sunday, that it was 100% not about her, but I told him that it was probably in the back of his mind when he did, and he agreed. So on Monday, she and him got drunk and had sex. The next morning, he started feeling terrible, and by Tuesday afternoon, he bought a ticket to come see me. Before he left, he apparently talked with his roommate and told her it would never be happening again, and apparently she didn't seem to care. She knows he was seeing me and that we were on break, and he thinks that she just wanted to get laid. I was so freaking upset after this, and I told him he needed to leave and stay with a friend. He had started crying while he was telling me about her, and when I told him that we probably had to break up, he started sobbing and apologizing. I told him to stay in the living room and call my mom, and she calmed me down a little. We spent all of yesterday talking basically, and in the end, I just felt like we should have the weekend together because that's probably all we have left. My current plan is to break it off when it's time for him to go, because I don't think I can get over this. If it had been a random girl, maybe, but she's his freaking roommate, and he'll be living with her until August. I can't do that. There were too many broken promises. He promised that I didn't have to worry about him living with girls because they were all too unattractive for him, and that the break wasn't about screwing around. He really doesn't seem to want to break up. He says it's the worst mistake he ever made, and it didn't mean anything. He was just so lonely and depressed. I was asking him if he'd ever thought we'd have a future together, and he admitted that he'd started saving for a wedding ring because he considered me the girl he wanted to marry when we got older. It was nice to hear that, but it made this affair even more mind-boggling. It feels like right now he'd say anything to keep me. In the end, maybe we'll get back together when he returns to New York in a year, maybe not, but once he returns to California, I can't trust him to be faithful anymore. And I think this is good. We're so young, and I was his first partner. He needs more experience, and I probably do too. We're too young to be caught up in this weird situation. Final update, 3 days later. So last I wrote, my now ex flew in from California and announced he slept with his female roommate, and we'd still been working through it when he left early yesterday morning. I was still incredibly confused and hurt, but I did know that I needed some space to think things through and make sure I wasn't being too heavily influenced by his presence. I suspect I was because after working on me for 3 days, I was feeling like maybe he deserved a second chance if he could prove himself worthy of it somehow, which I told him. Well, things weren't sitting quite right. I guess I didn't believe that things really were all as he said. Some things just didn't seem to make sense with his story, but what proof did I have? So I went to an alternate source. I messaged his roommate, the one he slept with. I didn't and still don't blame her. I've always believed that cheating falls on the shoulders of the cheater, which is my ex. I sent her a lengthy and sincere Facebook message explaining my side of events. I explained how he had made a promise that there was no girl involved and that taking a break wasn't at all about seeing other people, and that if there had been, I never would have agreed to a break with him. And also that because of his dishonesty over the situation, I consider it to be cheating. I also asked what her intentions were towards him and what their relationship was really like. She was really nice and frank. She regretted her involvement and tried to explain her actions, but they didn't really matter because even though she had pursued him, it was his choice to go after her. According to her, this is how it all went down. For a few weeks, she and John had been drinking buddies, and there was a tension that had started building between them, sitting too close, maybe brushing past. Honestly explains 100% why the communication had suddenly started drying up. The day we started fighting, he got very forward with her, putting his arm around her and escalating almost into mock wrestling and tickling before she stopped him, telling him he knew he was still with me and she didn't want to be a rebound. But she told me that afterwards, she definitely made her intentions clear to him. On Sunday, he texted her right after he initiated the break with me, and that night, they hooked up, though she stopped him before they had sex, wanting him to be really sure of what he was doing. Obviously, he was because they had sex both Monday and Tuesday nights. I didn't ask her about all the other things he'd told me, that the sex was terrible and he hadn't come and he didn't spend the night with her and left immediately afterwards. It was enough to hear that not only had he slept with her twice, but the whole affair had been 100% premeditated. I had specifically told him when he asked for a break that if another woman was involved, that the decent thing to do would be to break it off. Guess that shows something about his character. She also had to say that she didn't want to date him, as this is truly evidence of his immaturity, but that if she was honest, she was still interested in being friends with benefits with him, depending on whether or not I'd be in the picture in the future. I guess this really just cemented the fact that he and I absolutely could never be together. I told her she could have him. When I heard this, I thanked her and sent him an email with a picture of all his stuff in a garbage bag and how I'm giving it to his friend to bring back to him, and he and I are done, and that I know everything, and fuck you, have a nice life, do not ever contact me. Well, of course, he kept calling me, and I eventually picked up, and he was really crying and begging me not to leave him and saying how sorry he was. He said he didn't tell me the whole truth because he thought I wouldn't be able to forgive him. He was right, and how he didn't want the other girl, he only wanted me. Well, I told him he was stupid for thinking I wouldn't find out, and for not breaking up with me before spending all that money to fly here and remember just how great of a girlfriend I actually am, and that if he really cared about me, then he'd know that I deserved better than the treatment he's been giving me. He left another voicemail after that, which has my favorite material yet. He doesn't want to be alone, and wasn't it enough that he'd told me 90% of what happened? Seriously. So yeah, everyone on this website was so right about him right from the beginning. I stand by my naive actions, as I really did need that last bit of proof before I was able to let go, but it still fucking hurts. I'm glad I know everything so that I'm never tempted back by him, because he really is very manipulative. The only thing now is to find a way to stop thinking about it, because I just want him and the situation out of my head. I feel like I can't eat, as food just tastes like nothing and I have to force myself to swallow. Any breakup advice would be really great, as I am totally devastated. This whole post story has been crazy long, and I thank you if you read it. I really needed to get the whole thing out. Edit. I just wanted to thank everyone who commented here. Today has been that much better thanks to all your support and advice. The second story is from Amirong subreddit. It was posted by NoProcess1558 and was titled, "Am I wrong for punching my stepfather after he opened and drank a bottle of scotch my dad got me to share on my 21st birthday? My father passed away 8 years ago, and mom remarried 5 years ago. I will admit I never tried to blend with him or my half-siblings. I was happy for mom, but to be honest, I would have preferred it had remained just the two of us. I am 19. I live at home since I'm going to college locally. My father had a bottle of scotch he bought when I was born. It was kept in a cabinet down in our basement. It was my dad's area. I did not know why I never moved it. I figured it would be safe and not touched, and for many years it was. I don't know why he felt the need to open it, but he did. I admit I lost my cool, and I did punch him, but he has never touched anything down on that side of the basement, yet he suddenly forgets and goes for the one he knew meant everything to me. My mom is upset because he did call the police, and it appears he wants to put a restraining order against me. Cops took the report, asked me some questions, and left it at that. This happened around 5 hours ago. Here to vent and maybe have my eyes opened. My mom wants me to apologize, but I don't feel bad. It actually felt good, felt like I got some level of control. He was not a bad guy per se, I guess, but he also always tried so hard, and after my half-siblings were born, I was pretty much forgotten. Raising twins is not easy, and with me being so close to 18 when they were born, I guess they figured I was okay. Maybe I'm just being a little asshole. I don't know. Edit. They're my half-siblings, not step, sorry. Relevant comments. Commenter 1 says, "You're not wrong, but context matters between it being an honest mistake or a deliberate act. Did he know the significance of the bottle? And was it kept in a special location? I once did something similar on accident because I didn't know." Ope replied, "He claims he did not know, but he has not touched anything in that corner ever, and he has lived with us for years. He knows how important that corner is to me. Commenter 2 says, did he do it knowingly, or did he not know it was given to you by your father? Hope replied, he may not have known that particular bottle had importance, but has never touched anything in that corner of the basement. He knows that is my father's corner. He has never touched anything in that corner for years. Why did he suddenly feel the urge to touch and open stuff now? He could have bought his own booze. My mom and him claim it was an honest mistake. I'm having a hard time believing that. Go years without touching, but suddenly want to touch and drink stuff? Commenter 3 says, yeah, violence isn't the answer. That being said, everyone who's asking if they knew your dad gave that to you, it doesn't matter. The scotch was in the basement, untouched, and quite obviously not his. He knew he didn't buy it. He knew he didn't put it there. For whatever reason, he felt entitled to something that was not his. If he's been around for 5 years, I'm also sure he knew about the meaning behind the bottle. Hope replied, this is what gets me when my mom and him claim it was an honest mistake. He knows how much that corner means to me. Why not just buy some alcohol or something? Why purposely go through my dad's stuff? I don't drink, but doubt stuff sitting around for 19 years tastes all that great either. Commenter 4 says, you're not wrong. That was a hurtful thing to do by your stepdad, although you did react in the moment in a way that was not great. Him calling the police and demanding a restraining order is completely over the top. Where's your mom in all of this? He's taken something that was precious to you in tragic circumstances, a consequence of which was he got his bell rung. Everyone needs to use their words now, in a calm and respectful manner. Your mom needs to step up and mediate this. Stepdad needs to be made to understand what is and isn't appropriate when it comes to items your dad left behind, and be respectful of your feelings about him. And you need to apologize for putting hands on him. But you are not wrong for having strong feelings about him, ruining a treasured memento. Hope replied, my mom wants me to apologize. She is on his side. She claims it was an honest mistake. I don't buy that, because he has never touched my dad's stuff in that corner of the basement. He had no reason to touch anything in that corner. Commenter 5 says, he wants you out of his life. Yes, he did it on purpose. Do you have anywhere to stay on your dad's side of the family? Also, if I were you, I would double-check the will he left, because if he left you half of the house, then he needs to move out. Not you. Hope replied, not where I go to school. I go to Texas A&M. My dad's side of the family is from New York. Small update. Over 9 hours later. My stepfather is going through the process for the order. Mom said she was taking him to the notary. She asked me to apologize so we can smooth things over. I told her I would only apologize if he could tell me why, after all these years, he decided to go touch and drink an entire bottle of scotch in a single sitting. My dad was a drinker, and even he did not do that. My mom said I have no right to make demands of him. It seems some think it was just forgotten about. It was not. I turned a small corner of our basement many years ago into my dad's spot. I have his urn with other odds and ends, like his sports memorabilia, favorite drinking glass, his shot glass collection, and his liquor cabinet, with his chair that was in the living room. Now, did he know the significance of said bottle? Maybe not. I don't talk to him much. Mom 100% knew. Thing is, that should not have mattered. He knew the significance of the corner. Why he was touching anything in said corner is beyond me. Also, this bottle was in a neat wooden box. I don't drink. If you're looking to drink, do you honestly go for the one in a box? Or would you go for the unopened ones? I will look into the value. I know the name was Macallan Sherry Oak 30. This was the first time I ever threw a punch. Never been in a fight before. I don't think I have anger issues. I just lost it because my dad has slowly been forgotten. Mom used to wear his and her wedding bands as a necklace, but about 3 years ago, she stopped. We used to go out and get Bluebell ice cream together. We stopped doing that after the twins were born. Pretty much everything changed after the twins were born. I lost my cool because it felt like another piece of my dad was cast aside. She even lets my stepfather have his restored Super Sport, which technically was supposed to be mine, but because my dad had a standard, well, he left everything to Mom. I reached out to my uncle, and he's going to fly down on Monday, so we can all sit down and talk. As it stands, it seems like he is going forth with the order. My uncle does not think he will be able to get an emergency order for this situation, so he hopes on Monday we can come to some agreement. Update 3 days later. Thanks for all the feedback, and an update as promised. My uncle and I spoke with my mom and stepfather. First, my uncle called bullshit on my stepfather and said he has been drinking it over time. He did ask what was his end game. Refill it with something cheaper? My stepfather did not say anything. He also told my mom off. He said my stepfather may have an excuse, albeit a shitty one, but still an excuse. He told her that she had no excuse. She knew what my dad's intentions were for the bottle and for the car. He said he told my brother he should list what he wanted me to have in the will, but my dad told him it would be fine because he trusted my mom with his life. He also questioned why I was paying for school when apparently my father had a sizable life insurance policy, which I was unaware of, but also tracks because my mom has never actually gone to work. Either way, I probably don't have much claim to that either. At that point, I simply asked for my dad's car and the key to his storage unit. She and my stepfather can keep everything else. So that was the conversation. It was pretty much my uncle going at them and them just listening. My uncle asked me again to move in with him and suggested I take a semester off or a year and travel with him. He said he would help me with school. He told me some stories. It seems my mom and my dad's side of the family did not get along, which is why we moved to Texas where my mom is from. Either way, I am okay with everything. Oddly enough, I do not hate or even feel angry with my mom. Just not my guess. I hope with time maybe we can fix that, but for now I'm going to avoid contact with her and them altogether. I am staying with my uncle at a hotel, and we will start packing. He's going to have the car transported to New York. I lost the booze, but I did get back the car, which is better anyways if I'm being honest. My uncle said not to worry about the order of protection if he gets one. If push comes to shove, he will hire an attorney for me. So yeah, not a bad outcome. I wish I knew why, but yeah, still don't know why he drank it. Relevant comments. Commenter 1 says, "So glad you have your uncle. I hope your mom feels horrible. She put a man and her new family before her own son and your father's wishes. Maybe this will wake her up and she can see what a horrible mother she has been to you. Again, so happy your uncle had your back and called him out." Hope replied, "My uncle was going to try and be a peacekeeper, but after I told him I was paying for school, he was beyond upset. He told me beforehand not to worry about anything. Let them have it outside the car in his storage unit. Everything else can be replaced." Commenter 2 says, "I'm glad you have your uncle. It sounds like the best possible outcome at this point, and I'm glad he swooped in like he did to read them the riot act. Still not what you deserve. You deserve a mom who doesn't prioritize some dick over her child. Thank you for updating, though. Strange to say, I was worried about you. I lost my dad at 12. It's hard. Wishing you truly all the best. Edit to add. I'm not saying you were a child age-wise, in case that wasn't clear, just that she is supposed to put you first." Hope replied, "Thanks, I do appreciate it. Yeah, losing a parent at any age is rough. I was 6 when my grandpa passed, and remember that was the only time I ever saw my dad cry. It hit him hard, which is also why I'm glad I got the car back. My uncle told me my grandpa had the same car. Hope he was asked what kind of car his dad owned. Hope replied, 1969 Camaro SS. Commenter 3 says, "Is your uncle based in New York City? Anywhere in the 5 boroughs or even Long Island?" I ask because if you move in with him, even on paper by having some mail sent to his address, you could get New York residency and qualify for in-state tuition at a CUNY school, which is pretty much the best affordable, genuinely, education you can get in this country. They also make the transfer process really easy. So if paying for school is a concern, that might be a pathway that doesn't hurt you or your uncle too badly. Hope replied, "He lives in Rochester, but he said he would help me get an apartment if I want to be closer to the city. I will keep this in mind."